rotate a lot more, so it's easier to find people. And I think it's going to be easier for them to perform in that scenario than the typical squads gameplay.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this match, specifically the second one as well. Whoever wins this will be moving on to play the FaZe guys, okay? FaZe, obviously a very talented team. They won the last one. We might have the potential of seeing a FaZe versus typical gamer in store in the beginning. And right off the bat, Richard is already down, leaving it up to AimbotCalvin, the TSM Overwatch streamer. And, that is not the way you want to start the game off. Salty Springs, such a volatile place. Okay. And we're seeing that volatility right now.
Come on, King Richard, Team Envious, man. You got to represent.
That's so unfortunate, though, if you're an AimbotCalvin situation, like to already have, like, not necessarily your leader, but a guy who's a captain, right, for the Overwatch, for the Fortnite team. I mean, that's got to be so unfortunate. Of course, this is an expected position when we talk about TSM, whether it was Daquan and Hamlinz, and, prior tournaments, their whole strategy is go to Salty over and over and over again. And, of course, now it's Hamlinz and Myth playing alongside each other. You could even imagine that, when it comes into future competitive gameplay with its TSM squad, you could argue that probably when it comes down to those matches, whenever they do come about, they're probably going to be going to Salty quite a bit of the time.
And we talked about Hamlinz being one of the best players and showing it right off the bat. Look at 5 kills already. Nice. Of course, 1 at the top for Myth. So total of 6 kills to the 2 kills we see over there for AimbotCalvin. I don't think King Richard acquired any kills. Of course, we'll see later on in the tournament. But great start for the TSM boys. And, of course, I love the TSM squad. I've always been a fan of Myth and Hamlinz, Daquan as well. Haven't seen too much of Camille's, at least in these tournaments and of course, streaming-wise as well. But nonetheless, I love the TSM squad, FaZe squad as well. I think 2 of the most powerhouse teams,
for sure,
at least that we have so far in competitive Fortnite, at least this early on. But great start for them. And now, really, AimbotCalvin's in a very difficult situation. Does he meet up with the TSM boys, or does he do his own thing?
I mean, I don't know about you, Ribs, but I think he really needs to kind of stay away from them as much as possible, because any time that the enemy is near him, essentially, at least off the break, right, he's going to have the ability to where either Hamlinz or Myth is going to be trading kills with him. So he's going to have to constantly be fighting unless he wants to separate himself. So while I would understand if he wanted to kind of hang around them to try to steal their kills, it's going to be a consistent 2 versus 1. At any moment, whenever Hamlinz or Myth are with each other, they can separate, and then at that point, it's going to be up to AimbotCalvin. Do I go with Myth? Do I go with Hamlinz? And then you have the opportunity where you have essentially a 1 player kind of separating himself, and then 2 players kind of fighting for kills. So at least in my opinion, I think Calvin really needs to kind of distance himself. How far obviously remains to be seen, but really try to seek out some kills, try to get back into this game, and really just try to find an area of the map where Hamlinz and Myth aren't challenging, and just try to maybe take down a squad or 2, get some extra loot. Of course, he's already got the Scar, so he has a preferred weapon. He's got 2 med kits to his name, so he's in a pretty good spot. He's got double pump. He's in a perfect setup right now as far as the game is concerned.
And he's created the distance, like you were saying. So he's not near them right now, but we're going to see Myth taking shots across Dusty Divot, and he put in a good amount of damage there. He's not going to get a knock. And it's really just going to come down to if Calvin could find a team and get a few wipes, because he keeps them in the game. The fact that he's just like earlier today when we were watching Avery, the whole game playing the 1v2, and he kept taking the lead, but he kept them in it, more importantly. And that's what we need. We need to see him just get a few frags here.
Although it's so early though, King Richard died probably one of the original 20 players. He was already out, so that's going to be a really big kind of weight on the shoulders of Calvin, especially when you got players like Myth and Hamlinz shooting from afar, but a lot of damage done to Myth in the situation here.
They might have ran into a decent team here. Both of them are no shields, low health, and they're still going to play aggressively. Luckily, Hamlinz does have high ground. No, he's going to fall down.
Oh, it took a lot of fall damage, too. Luckily, Myth is able.
No shields for either of them.
And Myth, but he's able to get some good hit markers on the player in front of him. Of course, though, if either one of these players go down, it's going to even up the match, and that's going to be a big thing for Calvin, right?
He's
going to be extremely happy. And it's absolutely game-changing. You're right. Of course, this is Blitz. It's a little bit chaotic, right? Of course, we're in the loser bracket. If you guys are just joining us, they're playing a Blitz game mode, but still the fight ensuing.
Jump pad coming out from Myth.
Does he use the jump pad here? He doesn't really have a whole lot of health. He just needs to kind of watch over Hamlinz. And now he's going to try to initiate the fight from the skies.
He's low on the mats, and meanwhile, you see AimbotCalvin getting into a fight here at Tilted, and he's going to lose a lot of his HP.
Oh, no. 44 health, Ribs. I mean, he's got to drop down. He does have 2 med kits. Does he have time to use it? It looks like he's going to try and use it as he drops all the way down. No, he's going to dip out.
It's such a risky play because you got a guy above him. If he enters outside the door, he has to, try to watch over, kind of cover his tracks, essentially. Is what he has to do in the situation.
Shots from behind.
The shotgun spray.
Wow, he got that down.
What a turn on.
If that shot hit him, it would have downed him.
Like every bullet just happened to go around his entire body.
Down
but look
goes
at
Myth.
that. Yeah, Myth ends up getting taken down here in this play. Of course, look at the top right of our screen. He just gets
Hamlinz, he's
right
at 2 health.
Oh my gosh.
This could be a complete turnaround right here. Oh, and that down goes AimbotCalvin.
And Myth is down.
Gosh.
Calvin's down. Hamlinz.
If you're Hamlinz, like literally, you don't have to challenge anything. Just stay alive. Like, just try to weather the storm. Do whatever you can.
I believe the best way to stay alive right now is to hit some shots.
I seriously,
no,
I mean,
there
what
goes
a knock. Does he go for the kill, though? He has a player pushing him, not a lot of health left.
Yeah, he's going to go for it.
Oh, that's perfect. And now he gets some minis as well.
Here we were talking about Hamlinz.
Why, he's one of the best.
Yeah, and that was just
he's got a campfire.
Got a campfire, too.
That's huge. Yeah,
that is
he's back
massive.
in this game. I mean,
24 players remaining. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends. Yeah,
look at him. Look how happy he is.
I really wouldn't be surprised if he ends with easily 15 kills in this lobby. You know, once he heals up and loots up, he's going to – this is, once again, this is Blitz. There's so much loot going around, jump pads, plenty of mats going around. A player like Hamlinz really thrives in this situation with or without Myth.
I mean, his reaction says it all. Look how happy he was. He just even took a glance over at the video camera there, just checking it out. Like, are you guys watching and seeing this? This is awesome.
Well, it's such a huge relief, right? Because if he
was down to 2 health.
If he dies in that situation, it's such a kind of even game heading into map 2. When we talk about Blitz, the amount of RNG that's involved, it's really kind of anyone's game. The fact that, like you said, Ribs, that he stays alive in this spot totally grants the guys on TSM a massive advantage.
Yeah.
And of course, being in a loser's bracket, all you want to do is just keep trying to advance as far as you possibly can. So the fact that you're facing off against a very top team, right? We talked about how far both these squads have managed so far, and King Richard and AimbotCalvin, of course, they're here for a reason. But like I said, a lot of players alive, a lot more kills to find. Granted, not the best kit right now for Hamlinz, but this guy to me is deemed, at least in my opinion, top 2 right now. Top 3 probably arguably for a lot of players or a lot of fans rather. But his just like overall, like the ability for him to straight up build 1x1s or whatever it really may be, he just has such a great transition building skill that not a whole lot of players can possess, right? Some guys are good at shooting. Some guys are good at building. This guy can do basically it all in just a matter of moments. And I mean, his win rate, I think, as far as overall games, compared to a lot of the top streamers, is 40%.
Oh, is that a gold score?
Most regular players are going to be around the 30, kind of low 20s%. This guy's in 40%. No one averages even nearly anything that this guy plays at. So he's used to being in these one-off situations. He's used to kind of being in the clutch, and this is where Hamlinz thrives, right? This is the situation for him to totally propel his squad to a hefty game 1 kind of lead.
And something you have to take into consideration, too, in these public lobbies is, like, how many players in this lobby are actually even close to the level as Hamlinz. Yeah. And right there, Myth and Hamlinz did run into a somewhat decent team. Yeah. And maybe the way they approached him, because of his, brown pants default skin, it didn't work out in their favor. He was able to take out that team. So now, if going forward, who is he going to – I believe that was AimbotCalvin's fight earlier.
Look at the Taj Mahal over there.
So now we're going to see what type of players he's going to run into here. And he's, like I said, he's fully healed up. He has high ground, and that was a solo player. He's going to take him out with one easy pump shotgun shot to the face.
And one thing that's nice, too, since the Storm's obviously going to be deciding here soon, he does have that jump pad if he has to use it. So if he gets in an awkward spot, a team kind of rushes on him, he's low on HP, let me just hop on my jump pad and escape away. As there's a lot of different, obviously, kind of high positions to hold when it comes down to Tilted Towers.
And that's one. I just want to go back to where you said he's wearing the default skin. That's one of the things we talked about. Is like if
I like to call him brown pants.
Well, if you see a brown pants or a default skin, right, you're gonna push him because you're like, oh, this guy, he's got to be a potato. But of course, Hamlinz is anything but a potato. I guess he's like the best French fry you've ever ate. But if you're looking at him, you're seeing that default skin. You're thinking, man, I've got to push this guy. Maybe he uses it to his advantage. Plus, these streamers, a lot of stream snipes happen. You never know. If you see a brown pants, you're not thinking a streamer. You're thinking this guy, he's not too good,
if I see the skeleton, kind of
you're running away.
Skin,
oh,
I'm like, okay.
You're running away.
I hope that's not Myth.
Right.
That's essentially what I'm saying to myself. But yeah, man, you bring up a good point, like the ability to kind of rock the default skin and whatnot. We also talked about, I think it was in week 2, we saw Shroud and Summit playing together. Shroud also brought up that strategy pretty early. Wow. So just a nice little kind of thing to kind of carry in your back pocket when you're heading into these custom lobbies. There's a lot of little mini strategies that you kind of have to have at your backside. That's just one of the many kind of assets that we have to this game right now.
10-2 was the score. We just saw another knock. That's going to put him at 11-2 if he's able to finish off that player, and some more teammates are in fact going to be pushing him and just building over him. And I love what I'm seeing so far. I mean, coming in with 10+ kills in the second round is going to be monumental, especially against the team of AimbotCalvin and King Richard. And
that was and you see, right, I was talking about the pop shot earlier. Right there, he, L trigger for, or not L trigger, but he aimed in for a split second, tightens the spread, gives him a higher damage output, and the second shot's just to clean him up. And this is all extra credit, guys. You know, he's the only one playing right now, and he's still slaying out, and this is great. If I'm Myth right now,
pump too.
this is gonna set them up pretty comfortably for game 2.
Oh man, another jump pad. I can't he couldn't be more kitted up essentially, unless he had like a chug jug in his arsenal. I mean, he is sitting pretty, and especially you talk about solid players as he grabs yet again another camp. He has 5 jump pads, by the way.
Yes,
but
welcome to Blitz mode.
Yeah, when you talk about already being a solid player, the fact that he also has a gold scar, like, only complements even more the ability this guy has. It's going to be a very difficult fight to try to take him down, whether or not you are at a solo or a duo or even as a squad. Hamlinz with any weapon, let alone a gold scar, is going to be difficult to take him down.
A total of 9 kills still remaining that he can potentially pick up here. And, of course, now we see 8 as he comes down. Hello, it's Christmas time. He's going to jump down and picks up a nice 2 kills along with that gold RPG. I don't think he picks it up. He does have the chug jug in his back pocket as well, plus those 8 minis. He's definitely looking good in terms of whenever it comes to meds. He'll be able to heal up relatively quickly and just building up now 6 total engagements still remaining.
Yeah, just see you later, Ramp.
15-2 and more kills in his back pocket. He's going to go ahead fearlessly into the action with the jump pad, and hopefully he'll be able to find some players just below him, building over top. And these players are like, what is going on? And he goes in, gets the knock, and tries to find more. But how crazy of an experience would it be? Be playing a nice public game, come in, think it's going to be, it's going to be a chill game, and then you just run into that.
He's just such a good transition builder. Like, he is running into fights and not having to worry about taking damage a lot of the time because he already has like a wall separating him from any excess shots. He always has the high ground. I mean, obviously we talk about Hamlinz being a pro player, but I mean, talk about his building skills is just absolutely insane.
Definitely one of the best. I mean, come on. His building is, when I think Hamlinz, I think insane building.
Well, I think a lot of people would already generate, we talk about Myth, right? Myth's known as being one of the best builders, if not the best builder in the entire game. But you also got to credit, right? He's teammates with Hamlinz, too. Like, these guys are absolutely, like, taking, little strategies from each other day in and day out.
These guys grind, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, Ribs, obviously, I know being a pro player in different esports and whatnot, you take a lot of little strategies from your teammates. You get better as
not
a
just
unit.
your teammates, but that really sucks. That guy actually just self-destructed. He rocketed the wall. I don't know if that was intentional or not. Hamlinz is laughing. Look at him. But that to be honest, he really took over this game 1, and it might be irreparable damage here for Team
It's
Envy.
a lot,
and we'll see what happens here in game 2 going forward. But it looks like I said, Hamlinz is going to come out with 15 kills going into this game 2. And it all started with when Myth died and he had 2 health, and we saw him get those nice 2 shotgun kills. He had 1 down. We were all thinking maybe he's going to go for the kill. Instead, he turns, he gets the 1 pump. And those are really the game-changing plays you have to be able to make here in losers bracket.
This last guy has no idea what he's about to be getting himself into.
But this is the awkward spot now, right? Because you're heading into game 2 if you're King Richard's squad and whatnot. King Richard obviously dies super early in the game. Like, he dies, like we talk about, like within maybe the first 20 seconds. Like, we literally couldn't even go live fast enough
we
to
didn't
catch
get to see it. Wait, let's see this build
start.
battle here. I'm liking this. This is what we want to see. This is literally going to be the future of esports here for and once you get your high ground, don't build too high. Turn
He's
around.
Woo!
That's what I'm talking about.
That's the most emotion I've seen from him actually in our tournament so far. Normally he picks up a little sleeve, shows off a little arm, but
all 6
this
foot
time
8
I'm
of
seeing
him,
him get. Is he?
No.
I was about to say that. He's a monster. Why isn't he a basketball player? What's going on? Man, come on. Phenomenal plays from him. I mean, we'll have the scoreboard up, and then we'll see as it looks like 2-17, 15 kill lead. Blitz game mode. It's already fast enough as it is. I mean, you got to be thinking tilted at this point. They got to be going to a high populated area.
They have to switch their strategy up. They have to do something.
It's just the fact that, like, every time that we've seen King Richard's squad backs against the wall, they fall early. And whether it's been him in the last 2 tournaments, it's been him and Ninja, they fell early. And not that I'm saying that you shouldn't be going tilted, because you absolutely have to. But you could absolutely argue the strategy for them in the past by no means has treated them good.
No, I agree 100% with that. But the thing is, hey, it's losers bracket. You got to go for it. If you don't go for it, thing is, look, they can't just chill where they usually chill, right? I mean, we see a lot of fatal drops.
No salty springs.
You can't go soft. You have to go for it because at this point, you got the TSM guys. They could just totally chill. They could spawn at Lucky as far away as the circle as they possibly could, and them picking up 1 or 2 kills is still going to be detrimental to the opposite team.
And one thing that I saw last week as well, and I think it was in the finals it was FaZe versus King Richard and Ninja. And one thing that I noticed was the fact that King Richard and Ninja, they were down at one point during the game. I think it was in the first series. And they were like, okay, we're down in the game. They're going to try to follow us. So they end up jumping out pretty early in the battle bus. They start to kind of go I think it was Anarchy or something along those lines. And then they're like, okay, they're going to follow us. We got to go tilted because there's no way they're going to follow us in tilted. So if you're in TSM situation, if they don't go tilted, you're following them 100%. There's no reason to not at least send one guy to join alongside them and try to bait out their kills to make it even more difficult for them. So if there was ever even a question to ask, okay, maybe King Richard's squad, they shouldn't be going tilted, it's like you absolutely have to, because why in the world wouldn't TSM be following you if you didn't go there?
I'm pretty sure they have to split here.
You think so?
I'm pretty sure King Richard is going to have to go to Tilted, and then we're going to have AimbotCalvin go to maybe Salty Springs or something. They can't afford to be together. They need to slay out. It's
that's
too large
too, right.
My only thing is that if one of them doesn't go Tilted, why doesn't TSM just follow that one guy? Because then it puts all the pressure onto that one player, and the one player, whether it's King Richard or Calvin, where they have to absolutely go off inside Tilted basically solo because the other guy is rendered useless. So that's the only. There's a lot of questions to be asking right now if you're in King Richard and Calvin situation. Do you like I said? Do you split? You probably it's definitely in your playbook right now. But at the same time, it's like, well, does TSM really want to follow us? Is that the strategy of them? Then you're thinking about the research that hopefully you've probably done coming into this matchup.
Right.
Do you know what they like to do? I mean, typically from what I've seen in prior games when TSM has been up with Hamlinz and Daquan, they usually don't try to stack up. They usually don't try to, join alongside the enemies. They usually typically go salty almost every single time. From at least, I think that was week 2.
Yeah,
they were doing that quite a bit on. But, as tournaments progress, a lot of strategies change. They could have a lot of different things up their sleeve right now. So they're sitting pretty. 15 kills up. I mean,
you can't.
It's blitz, but
well, and that's the thing. It's blitz. Kills go quick. So I mean, for anybody, even the people joining who's not in this tournament, to these public matches. So a lot of kills, and I'm definitely curious what the chat's got to say. I mean, you got to let us know in the chat. What are you guys thinking overall in this match? I mean, 15 kills is a huge deficit. But
absolutely.
I mean, obviously TSM was one of the favorites in this tournament. But of course, got to know your opinion. Please let us know in the chat. Of course, if you guys want to check out the bracket too, it's !bracket just to see how this is moving forward. But I can already tell you, whoever wins this is going to be moving on to play FaZe in the next match. So thought this match was hard.
Dude.
It's going to get even harder. But I know AimbotCalvin.
I want to see FaZe and TSM. So I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
FaZe and TSM.
I'm with you on that.
FaZe and TSM is going to be absolutely nasty. In the last tournament, did we see them? I don't remember. We did. So we did see them, and I think FaZe won. Off of that.
FaZe won the whole tournament.
Well, they did, but I know FaZe came through losers. They came
lost
loser.
In losers, or they lost in winners round.
They lost in winners, so.
But it wasn't the TSM.
It wasn't the TSM, though. I don't think it was the TSM. But here we are. We're underway. King Richard, AimbotCalvin, and Myth and Hamlinz.
Take a look at the circle. Like, you can go tilted, but by no means is it like a preferred area. Like, final circle, 100% isn't going to be in tilted. It could be off to the side, but it's not going to be in the main frame of it. So, like, this is the greatest circle by any means that they could ask for, but we'll see what they try to do off the break.
And just as I said, they're not going to drop together. King Richard and AimbotCalvin have to split up. I believe AimbotCalvin's going to take Tilted.
And one's going to take Salty, it looks.
Are they?
That's such a typical play that TSM like to go is to Salty.
Well, let's see. Let's just see how it's going to develop. It definitely looks like a Salty drop.
And it seems AimbotCalvin is done with the brown pants.
So, we do see Salty from AimbotCalvin. He's going to be going over to Salty. And actually, they're staying together. They're going Salty. They're both going Salty. And look at the drop from AimbotCalvin. Look how far away he is from Salty.
Landing. That's not what you want.
I absolutely disagree with this. Just
and look at his first building he's raiding.
And don't forget, guys, TSM is now playing it safe. And I don't mind this play here. It's a little risky, though, because there's a good chance King Richard and AimbotCalvin just go off.
Right.
But put the game in their hands. Make them have to go off, And meanwhile, here we are at Lonely Lodge. They're gonna farm up. They're gonna make sure they're here late game, and then once they get to late game, they just need a few kills each, and that'll secure them the match.
All right.
And here
this
comes
is the pressure on already, right? This is the pressure already in your face. Calvin thankfully does take down at least one in that situation. I believe does get at least 1 or 2 knockdowns there in that spot. So it's what they need. It's what they have to have. But I just feel like this isn't the main place to be looking at. I mean, like, you could argue based on the circle, like maybe you go tilted, maybe you don't. What's the next high priority area? It might actually have to be Salty Springs. So I just think based off the circle, they're already kind of put at an awkward spot.
Yeah, it's true, and that's something that comes along with blitz mode. You don't ever see tilted towers on the edge of the gas right off the bat, and that's what'll happen in blitz mode because everything is sped up. And
well,
some mushrooms there.
I was a bit worried about King Richard and AimbotCalvin's drop, but they managed to come back through Salty, and they've got a decent loadout. At least we see a double pump from King Richard. AimbotCalvin, he has a double tack as well.
Although,
obviously not optional, but still something.
I just feel like, though, since it's blitz, like, you can honestly go anywhere and you're going to get decent loot, unless you happen to kind of just find like one building and whatnot. But I feel like for both teams that the kit's going to be pretty decent.
Well, player is in fact going to be just below gas, and they're going to be pressuring him pretty hard. Myth and Hamlinz, though, Nowhere to be found. So these are going to be free kills, and we're going for the thirst, and he's managed to get the elimination. So that's going to be a total of 3 kills, but 15 kill deficit. I mean, really, at any point, at any kills TSM gets, that's just going to put a hurting on the enemy team. And we see another fight going down, and a great shot. And that just shot. I mean, Richard has really good shots when he's on point.
You need the consistency, and that's how it is in any esport and anything competitive. You know, it's consistency is what's going to get you to the big stage. And you know, you can't have a game where you die right off the bat. It's going to be very hard to make it up.
Well, we're seeing a lot of fighting going on in Salty, and this is exactly what Calvin and King Richard needed at this point. They need as many kills they can possibly get. And
they got players all around.
But look, he's low. He's at 39 health. He managed to get the elimination, but he has no bandages. There's a player to right. He doesn't see that player in front. Now, finally, he sees him. Okay, his player, King Richard, is in fact going to be going for that kill. He goes for the kill just up above, and no mats coming. Or finally, they got some bandages. But, hey, they picked up some solid kills. I mean, if we're looking at where's TSM, they're sitting at 0, and now we're sitting at 8. We have 8 kills for King Richard. So down by 7. I mean, that's a huge chunk off that deficit.
It is, but at the same time, like, they're just kind of casually kidding up. They're going to make their way over here soon. Like I said, they're just trying to make sure they stay alive. Like, it is obviously getting a tad worrisome at this point. We talked about, obviously, Blitz being the way that it is, but I don't know. I think it's still like a decently comfortable, advantage that they still have right now. Like I said, by no means are they sitting pretty. Like, they're not going to just kind of hang out in Lonely Lodge and just kind of play the time. But yeah, this is a great start. This is exactly what you have to have if you're King Richard and AimbotCalvin. A decent start, making sure you're up on your kits, you're good on shields and health and whatnot, and advancing forward. But they have to continue this aggression. They can't slow down right now.
Yeah, they definitely can't slow down. I mean, that is 100% correct.
This was definitely a very favorable Salty Springs run. I was surprised they didn't split up, but it seems as if they didn't need to. Ooh, nice headshot there from King Richard. He's going to get a med kit.
Yeah, and I think the campfire as well.
That's 9. Is there going to be anybody in retail? That's the question. The TSM guys could find.
And this is nice, right? They should probably find at least one squad.
At least one squad, I would say.
Yeah, they Myth just located somebody in the residential side of retail. He was able to get a few white hit markers, meaning the player doesn't have any shield. And this is going to be a big fight here. If TSM could get one or two team wipe, that'll pretty much secure them this match.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, look how many engagements. There's only 31 engagements or 30 engagements now remaining. So, I mean, it's going quick, and to be expected, it's Blitz. So, of course, these kills go quickly.
Good health here from TSM. Great amount of mats. Of course, they landed Lonely Lodge. And they're going to play this smart. They're going to keep their high ground. And this is why Hamlinz and Myth are so consistent, so good. Myth's going to get a 2-piece right there.
And this was a pretty high priority area when it comes down to the circle. Like, Retail Row is in the dead center of the circle. So you got to imagine if you're a random kind of playing in this game, hey, like, Retail is a perfect spot. Might as well land here. Like, granted to, players who play it quite often, it's like, okay, well, that's way too open. But I feel like this is kind of like the tilted of normal maps when it comes down to like perfect control as far as what town or what city rather you like to land at. But as far as King Richard and AimbotCalvin are concerned, on the opposite side, they're actually making their way into Dusty Divot. And from here, this is kind of like this is like your opening, right? From here, you have all kinds of different directions you can go to, and you also have the ability to kind of have those hop rocks. You can kind of advance to any spot that you like. Of course, they're going to be having a multitude of jump pads and whatnot, so they can kind of overview, take a little bit of a glance here, and try to find some engagements, as they are going to be on the flank of one at least player, potentially a fight going down here as well, but a lot of frags remain, and like I said, they're in a pretty decent spot, but now that TSM's back in the fight, they have to consistently be better than the opposition.
I want to see more aggression here from King Richard. He's just trying to get these AR downs. Oh my. Never mind.
I was going to agree with you on that, but it seems to be paying off. I mean, he is totally decimating that enemy team, getting some nice kills. Getting that pick with that gray AR off of that little fort that they built. I mean, you can't argue with that. That's awesome accuracy overall.
Look at AimbotCalvin from across the map. He's actually going to shoot this guy down. And we're going to see it here in a second. He's going to fall down.
Yep.
This is going to be another 3 or 4 kills here for King Richard and AimbotCalvin. They're still in the running, but TSM isn't far. They're about to use a jump pad to get
they're
closer.
coming in.
And one thing that I like about King Richard and AimbotCalvin's play, as I feel like what's been an issue for them, is that they've been having a problem getting surrounded. Like, in a lot of the games that we've seen King Richard and whatnot get involved in with, a lot of these early deaths have been with players surrounding him. He's not able to escape. We talked about that first game. I don't remember exactly what kind of took place because we obviously barely got to hop into the match. But it seemed as if there was like 3 or 4 players around him. What they're doing a great job at, as that's going to be one of the easiest kills of the game there from Myth. but they're doing a great job at constantly making sure, watching their overall surroundings, and having the enemy be in front of them. So I think that's what's been so good right now for King Richard and Calvin, is the ability to kind of always be aware, having the enemy at your front rather than your backside.
So where are we at now? Let's do some quick math.
It's looking grim.
12 for the left side,
6.
and then for the right side we have 6. But of course, with that 15 kill, that's what 21 versus.
I forget how many kills they had.
Like someone said in the chat, math is hard. Math is hard. Thank you, producer. You're doing it. Great stuff. Landon, I know you didn't dare to even touch that
absolutely
subject.
not.
But
yeah, I'm not even
I like taking risk, and risk is math, okay? So that's how I feel about the world at this point. 14.
Respect.
There's only 10. I don't think there's enough kills. It's over.
Yeah, and this is
Well,
Hamlin's MVP for sure.
King Richard actually just picked up a lot of kills. To be fair, it's not really over yet. Of course, it is very grim, but I believe they only need one more kill to seal the deal at this point. Because they were down. They were excuse me. How much were they up?
They're up 15.
15 kill. Yeah.
Yeah, and now it's 6-14, so it's 8 difference. And
there's
only 7 people left.
Yep, that should be it then, right?
No.
I'm finally getting involved with the math. I'm actually kind of enjoying this. This is kind of cool.
Yeah, you're right now because that's an 8 kill lead, 7 kills from me. Yeah, so that's it. No, are they still in it?
7. Apparently, it's a 7.
No, they're out of it. I got that right. Hey, they're out of it. So that's going to be King Richard, AimbotCalvin. They are, in fact, going to be out of the tournament. But what a run from these guys. King Richard has been teaming with Ninja ever since the start of our tournaments. And now we see him going with AimbotCalvin, and it seemed to at least work. They had some nice chemistry. Seemed like it worked really well.
And you see here, like, their backs are against the wall. They absolutely perform. Like,
they did.
If we don't see an early exit, right, because, of course, it was a difficult spot for them to be in.
Yeah.
I mean, King Richard comes out. He drops 10 kills. You see an obviously pretty nice 4 kills coming in from AimbotCalvin.
Right.
I mean, when they need to, they absolutely can turn up. It's just, I mean, really, like I think you mentioned it there, Ribs. I mean, for me, without question, Hamlinz is the MVP of this particular series.
Oh yeah.
If he doesn't go off, if he doesn't manage to stay up with that 2 HP, he goes down. We're at a level playing field. We could be arguing like this could be the end of the game right now. We could be saying, okay,
yeah,
like, you know, it's a tie game. Like, but no, it's the exact opposite. I think it was 15 kills came in from
15
from I think it was Hamlin's last
They're
game.
still playing it out. Like,
you got to give all the props to Hamlinz, I think, in this situation. Absolutely carried the team.
they're still in it, but they have to get the last 4 kills.
No, with Hamlinz, and there it is. That's going to seal the deal. Hamlinz
okay.
picks up that last kill. There's no way. I mean, but
Could
hey,
you imagine?
Could you imagine? No, but the thing was, Hamlinz. I mean, at that point, I mean, yeah, it was mathematically possible, but not.
Oh, how is he alive? Like, look at Hamlinz right now, man. He is showing off. This is insane. Like, the ability to, like, one thing that I think is so interesting when it comes into Fortnite esports, and what's really going to be a major characteristic of a lot of the pro players, is to have awareness. The ability to know where the players are surrounding you, how many mats you have, what kind of weapon selection you have.
Yeah, it's extremely important.
Awareness is going to be such a huge attribute that so many players are going to have when it comes into a lot of these games. Like I said, we're seeing 2 versus 2. Imagine when you have 4 dedicated hardcore players coming at you at once when building, like, you're basically building the Taj Mahal in about 30 seconds. Like, that's all it's going to take for one team fight a lot of the time. So, I mean, all the credit to, of course, both of these squads. But, I mean, in general, I really cannot wait to see how a lot of these, skills and a lot of these attributes that the players really need to have kind of progress, because they're only going to get better with these tournaments.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Well, Myth and Hamlinz, they're going to move on in the tournaments, and they're going to be facing FaZe up next. FaZe Cloaks, who face Tfue, one of the greatest teams, at least in our tournament.